Today on Public Eye News, all adults in Michigan are eligible for the vaccine starting April 5th, and NMU plans on distributing the vaccine soon.
Later, Megan Tarcia will have your weather, and Devontae Stein will have your sports update. Hi, I'm Marin Parks.
And I'm Scott Mitchell, and this is Public Eye News. Breaking news on the fight against the coronavirus today, as President Biden has directed all 50 states to open up vaccinations to everyone by May 1st. Marquette County is ahead of that timeline. As of 10 a.m. today, anyone 16 years and older is eligible to sign up to get in line to receive a vaccination appointment. The Marquette County Health Department is accepting the early sign-ups in order to best prepare themselves for when they are ready to start distributing the vaccines to everyone. Northern Michigan University is encouraging its students and staff to sign up for the vaccine, although it is to be noted that students should still expect to wait a while before receiving their vaccination. NMU President Fritz Erickson has said Northern has not yet received vaccines, but are filling out paperwork currently about their capability to, and are expecting more information soon. The Northern Michigan University student organization EcoReps is partnering with the College of Business and the Sustainability Advisory Council to host a virtual workshop this weekend. The workshop's goal will be sustainable development and will feature UN presenters throughout this upcoming weekend. Steve Lee, a UN policy advocate and executive director of the Foundation for Environmental Stewardship, will be the featured speaker for the first night of the workshop. Other high-ranking UN officials will be featured throughout the weekend, presenting on important environmental issues. In order to register for the workshop, visit www.sdgs.launch.com/northern-michigan-university. As first reported by WLUC TV, Coast Guard cutters Mackinac and Mobile Bay have started the process of breaking the ice in Sturgeon Bay to allow commercial ship traffic. The cutters began after the captains of ports around the Great Lakes began to open their respective ports for commercial traffic. The decisions are being made due to the mild winter, which has caused ice to be less thick than usual, and rising temperatures in the next few days should accelerate the ice's melting.
As of today, Michigan announced that all residents aged 16 and older will be eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine starting April 5th, almost a full month earlier than initially proposed by President Joe Biden. People aged 16 to 49 with medical conditions will be eligible on March 22nd, and on March 24th, a mass vaccination site will be opening in Detroit, Michigan, in hopes of administering an extra 6,000 vaccines per day. This Detroit site will operate for 12 and a half hours every day for 2 months and hopes to vaccinate 168,000 people with the Pfizer vaccine. Michigan was the third state to announce broad eligibility this week, following Alaska and Utah. The U.S. is expected to have enough vaccines for all adults by May 1st, though it may take significantly longer to actually administer the vaccines. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer encourages all eligible persons to sign up for the vaccination at the earliest possible opportunity, as it will help get the country back to normal. Though Michigan has experienced a winter that has been on average 5 to 7 degrees above normal, TV6 reports that there are still some residential areas in which the frost line is deep enough in the ground to lock up some residential water lines. The depth of the frost line is primarily due to the 2-week stretch of below zero temperatures experienced across Michigan during the month of February, during which the frost line reached as low as 50 inches underground level. On the brighter side, however, there have thus far been significantly fewer water main and city system breaks this winter than is typical. City governments plan to continue monitoring the frost lines and cleaning out catch basins across Michigan until snow is completely melted and the ground fully thawed. City maintenance workers also warn Michigan residents to be wary of black ice on the road despite warm daytime temperatures, as many overnight temperatures are expected to drop below freezing. A disturbing problem with online court hearings due to the coronavirus pandemic was brought to light during an assault hearing on March 2nd, when the prosecuting attorney noticed strange body language in her client as she was testifying against her abuser. The victim and the defendant of the case were participating in the hearing via separate video calls, but the prosecuting attorney identified signs of anxiety in her client that implied they were actually in the same building. The judge overseeing the hearing asked the defendant to take a picture of the address from which he was participating in the call, and the defendant declined, citing low phone battery as his reasoning. The defendant was arrested for violating a condition of his bond and will not have a new bond set. He also may be charged by the prosecution with obstruction of justice. The defendant will likely be charged and sentenced during the next hearing for the case, set to take place on March 16th. And stay right here with us, because after this break, we'll be back with your national and international news.
Met professor Teling.
Ik ben blij dat je terug bent. Hoe is het met hem?
Hij is zotter dan anders.
Die slachtoffers hebben niks met elkaar te maken.
Geen getuigen.
De zaak is opgelost.
Je meent het of?
Sarcasme, dat vind ik leuk.
En jij bent echt onuitstaanbaar. Allee. Alles onder controle, professor?
Absoluut.
Tonight at 9 on WNMU TV.
Back. A new bill in South Carolina focusing on hate crimes has taken out protections for gay and transgender individuals. The decision to remove these people from the bill came after Republican leaders in the state felt as if their inclusion would lead to people not supporting the bill. South Carolina is currently only one of 3 states in the United States without a hate crime law in place. Around the U.S., millions of coronavirus vaccines sit in cold storage awaiting approval from the FDA. The Biden administration has denied requests from foreign countries asking for the vaccine, citing that it could be used immediately. Countries around the world are struggling to vaccinate vulnerable populations and are frustrated with the massive amounts of vaccines sitting and waiting in the United States.
The safety of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine has been called into question in many European countries after reports of blood clots in persons who received the vaccine caused 1 death and 1 hospitalization. Health experts have made it clear that it is highly unlikely that said blood clots had any correlation with the vaccine, instead citing the age range of people currently eligible for vaccination as the cause. France, Germany, Nigeria, and Poland all intend to continue use of the vaccine, while Denmark, Iceland, Bulgaria, Norway, Thailand, and Congo have paused its distribution. Hungary has emerged as the leader in COVID-19 vaccine administration in the European Union in the face of a massive surge in coronavirus cases caused by the emergence of a more infectious strain of coronavirus originally found in Britain. Hungary cites their approval of not only the Pfizer, AstraZeneca, and Johnson & Johnson vaccines, but also the Sinopharm and Sputnik V vaccines. Vaccination plans are of the utmost importance in Hungary as they face a 150-person per day death toll. Due to the necessity of vaccines, Hungary has worked to get 11.9% of their adult population vaccinated, significantly higher than the 7% vaccination average across the rest of the European Union. And President Biden is focusing on coronavirus vaccines as a way to reignite economic growth both home and abroad. Skylar Henry has more details from Capitol Hill.
Hello, everyone.
President Biden met virtually with the leaders of Japan, India, and Australia this morning to work on an agreement to expand COVID vaccine capacity in Southeast Asia.
A free and open Indo-Pacific is essential to each of our futures, our countries. But to get this right, we all have to focus on generating domestic demand and driving sustainable global growth.
Last night, the president announced U.S. vaccine production is ahead of schedule.
All adult Americans will be eligible to get a vaccine no later than May 1. That's much earlier than expected.
He says that should enable Americans to return to a more normal lifestyle by the 4th of July.
Where we not only mark our independence as a nation, but we begin to mark our independence from this virus.
But not every state is waiting for the summer. Oklahoma is the latest to roll back COVID restrictions beginning today.
There will be no statewide restrictions on events or Oklahomans.
The president will host a ceremony at the White House today, celebrating the passage of the American Rescue Plan. No Republican voted for the bill, and none are on the guest list for today's event.
This wasn't a bill to finish off the pandemic. It was a multi-trillion-dollar Trojan horse full of bad, old liberal ideas.
But the president says the nearly $2 trillion plan will kickstart the economy.
It's a bill that will get meaningful help into the hands of people in our country who need it the most.
The White House says Americans could see money hit their bank accounts as soon as this weekend. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
When the pandemic is behind us and a chapter in the history books, we will have a place to visit some of the key moments that marked this past year. Natalie Brand reports from Washington on the growing collection of artifacts that tell us the story of COVID-19.
When critical care nurse Sandra Lindsay became the first American vaccinated against the coronavirus, it was a turning point that would go down in history.
I hope this marks the beginning to the end of a very painful time.
That Pfizer vial now carefully preserved at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History. Northwell Health in New York donated Lindsay's vaccination materials and scrubs, marking the beginning of a growing COVID-19 collection.
We want to make sure that we're documenting the story from multiple perspectives: patients, practitioners, scientists, politicians, teachers, all sorts of individuals for whom the pandemic has had a very direct an immediate impact on their lives.
Curator Alexandra Lord says the Smithsonian even put out a call to the public soliciting ideas and photos. So far, they've collected more than 600, documenting both the heartache and the resilience of Americans.
How do you think this time in history is going to be remembered?
It's really hard. I do think that this will be seen as a major seminal event in American history. and that it will mark a period of before and after. It does seem that there will be some radical changes just in simple things like perhaps how we work on a day-to-day basis, but perhaps even how we think about the inequities in our society.
Lord says the collection will help ensure the impact of the pandemic is not forgotten, nor the advances in medicine, which are starting to pull the nation back from the most significant public health crisis in a century. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Stay with us, because after this break, we will be back with your weather and sports.
We are just weeks away from April 15th, Tax Day. As is often the case, changes in tax laws and changes in life can complicate even the most basic of returns. I'm Mike Settles. If you have questions about this year's filing, I invite you to quiz our great panel of certified public accountants. Tune in and participate in Ask the CPAs here on WNMU TV.
Ask the experts your questions live Thursday night at 8.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Megan Tarcia here with your weather. Behind me is a very sunny but not very warm NMU campus. As we look in today's conditions, it is mostly cloudy with a temperature of 28 degrees. Our winds are northwest at 14 miles per hour, and our barometric pressure is 30.48 inches and rising. Looking into tonight's conditions, it'll be clear skies with a low of 17 degrees, and our winds will be southwest at 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow's conditions, it'll be sunny skies with a high of 51 degrees, and our winds will be west at 15 miles per hour. Looking across the UP, Sault Ste. Marie is 22 and snowy, but it is sunny throughout. Manistee is at 29, Menominee at 30, or Escanaba at 33. Down in Menominee is 36, Iron Mountain is 30. Ironwood is 25, up in Houghton it is 23, and here in beautiful Marquette it is 28 degrees. Looking ahead at our weekly conditions, starting with Sunday, it'll be a high of 29 and a low of 17 degrees, partly cloudy skies. Monday will be a high of 39 and a low of 24, mostly sunny skies. And Tuesday will be a high of 39 and a low of 28 with partly cloudy skies again. Now going over to Devontae Stein with our sports.
Thanks, Megan. Looking ahead to the action your Wildcats will be taking on this weekend, we have your track and field team competing in an NCAA championship event down in Birmingham, Alabama, today the 12th and tomorrow the 13th. Your women's volleyball team will be home today versus Northwood at 4:30 p.m. Also going on tonight, your NMU hockey team takes on Bowling Green. Puck drop is at 7:07 p.m. Tomorrow, your skiing team will be competing in an NCAA championship event in Jackson, New Hampshire. Good luck this weekend, Wildcats. Looking at some NFL offseason news, the New England Patriots have come to terms to re-sign former MVP quarterback Cam Newton to a one-year, $14 million deal with $6 million in incentives. Also re-signing with his current team is defending Super Bowl champion Tom Brady, who agreed to a one-year extension through the 2022 season. The deal is a four-year deal that gets voided into a one-year extension, which saves Tampa Bay $19 million in cap space this year, which is all the more valuable seeing how the NFL cap limit was decreased this year after it has been increasing for the past 8 seasons. Tampa Bay is trying to get its Super Bowl winning team together as they make it to look another shot at the trophy next year. New Orleans Saints Michael Thomas restructures his contract to save the New Orleans Saints $8 million in cap space. New Orleans is now only $12 million over the cap limit instead of the $108 million that they were earlier this week. Looking at some of the NBA action from last night, we had the Milwaukee Bucks taking down the New York Knicks 134-101. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a triple-double in the win for the Bucks with 24 points, 10 rebounds, and assists. The Philadelphia 76ers took down the Chicago Bulls 127-105 behind Tobias Harris' 24 points. The Brooklyn Nets defeated the Boston Celtics 121-109. Kyrie Irving led the way for the Nets with 40 points in the win. The Detroit Pistons dropped a close one on the road to the Hornets 102-105. Jeremiah Grant had 32 points in the loss for Detroit. The Atlanta Hawks won at the buzzer over the Toronto Raptors 121-130 as Tony Snell hits a three as time expires. But I'm sorry, because that's all the time we have for you today in Public Eye News. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you again next week.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.